What's going on, everybody? This is Black Men Sundays. I'm your host, Corie Murray, and we're talking about generational wealth. We're talking about finance, and of course, we're talking about business. And let's remember, guys, this is August. We celebrating the sisters all of August. So all Sundays in August, we're going to have some sisters. They're going to give us some generational wealth tips, finance, and business.
It's a Black Man Sunday. Time to put all childish things away. I refuse to be the man I was yesterday. Gotta put my best foot forward and elevate.
And before we introduce today's guest, my man Eric from Hunts, Vegas. Who do we have for our Black Men Sunday Spotlight, my brother?
Thanks for the introduction, Corie. Today's Spotlight, we're going to spotlight a brother who we all know, but in case you don't, I'm going to remind you, his name is Lil Romeo. Now, Lil Romeo, who's better known as his father, goes by his name of Master P. Now, with him, this is the thing I wanted to recognize about him. He befriended a brother by the name of Richard Patterson. And Mr. Patterson is a man who has a super IQ. And the thing about him, especially about this guy, he revolutionized the automotive world, basically. He's designed the first Black electric car company. And the way Romeo is affiliated with this guy, he befriended this guy because he met this guy, and his IQ was off the chain, and he dressed and talked just like he did. So that's what helped him kind of befriend this guy. So this guy's come up with the concept, and he has 4 automotive engineers in the world. He used to work with Tesla, and basically Richard Patterson is a genius, and he basically got his own electric car company. Now, after studying a little bit more about his vision and creations, Lil Romeo realized that they were on the same level as far as journey, so if we want to be successful. So this is my shout out to Lil Romeo and Richard Patterson. He's the first Black engineer, he used to work for Tesla, who has his own electric car company. And the special thing about this is that not only he's doing electric cars, he's also looking at doing solar panel cars, so that instead of having to plug your car into a socket, it can actually run off of electricity. So this is a guy we need to look out for. Keep him in mind. His name is Richard Patterson. I'm not quite sure what the name of the company is just yet, but he's affiliated with Lil Romeo, so they both are partnering together and to make a difference in the world of technology. That's my spotlight today. Lil Romeo and Richard Patterson. Corie, back to you.
Thank you, Eric, for that Black Men Sunday Spotlight. You know, you coming from Alabama A&M. I went to Florida A&M. And today's guest is alumni of Florida A&M University with a Bachelor of Science in Fine Arts. She's a 30-year retired Orlando Police Department detective. This sister's a commercial actress. She played on films like True Love Blooms and Blood. She's also the Ways and Means chair of the Democratic Women's Club of West Orange County. She's also a retired bodybuilder and was ranked 5th in the world. Without further ado, Audrey Harris White, welcome to Black Men Sunday, sister. How you doing?
I'm doing well. Thank you so much for that awesome introduction.
Thank you very much. And let's go on and get started. You know, our show is about generational wealth, finance, and business. And, you know, with you, you're someone that has a high credit score. A lot of us in life, we're trying to achieve that. You know, we have credit card debt, we have bills. So what tips can you give us that we can use to get a higher credit score?
Well, the first thing you need to do, my first advice to anyone who asks me that, is you freeze your your FICO score. You have to freeze your account. That prevents identity thieves from getting access to your credit. And you have to check your credit score often. I just recently I made it into the 800s, so I'm really happy. I'm trying to make it to the top of the 800s. So that was one of my goals. And you can do that, as I said, you freeze your credit score and you check it, make sure there are any errors to eliminate those errors. And you have to keep your credit, your debt, even though you may have a lot of credit available to you. Of course, you keep it down to the minimum, try to keep it under 30 to 20%. And when you do that, pay your bills on time, your credit score will go up. If you've got credit cards, because I was one of those people when I was young that I thought having a lot of credit cards, was a good thing. No, it was not. When I was in my 20s, I think I had about 12 credit cards. And of course, the result of that was I was spending more than I was making. And at the end of the month, I was in a deficit as far as cash available. And I picked up a book, and because back then, when I was in my 20s, there was no internet. So no cell phones. So I purchased a book from I think it's by Charles Schwab on managing your money, becoming an investing. And I learned the first thing you do is pay yourself first. And when I say pay yourself first, that doesn't mean spend. It means to save. That when you get your check, your income, you take 10% to 20%, put that to the side, just like it's a bill, and you let that accumulate. And when you get, say, $1,000 or so, now you can get shares of stocks for $25. You start investing that money to watch it grow. Without you even thinking, that money comes right off the top from your check. You take a portion of that, you invest it, and you grow your wealth, and you also grow your credit score. And when you have a good credit score, you have power.
Definitely. Now, for the brothers and sisters, and I'm included, I'm not going to act like I'm innocent because I'm hosting the show. If we have multiple cards and we're pretty much close to the limit on all of them, and then, we get our income tax, which is a nice sum of money. Which credit card do we pay first? Do we pay the card with the lowest limit, or do we pay the card that's going to, charge us the most debt at the end of the month? What's your theory on that?
Okay, if you have multiple cards and they're not paid off, the one with the lowest payment is the one you pay first. And let's say you're paying $400 a month. You pay that $400, you get that card paid off. You take that $400, you don't just put it back in the account. You take that $400 and put it towards the next payment for the other card. And you pay that off quickly. And when you paid off that second card, you take those funds and you pay off the third card. So the premise is that each card you'll pay down faster. And of course, when those funds, you've paid all the cards off, then you can start, putting it back in your account, putting it towards an investment, putting it towards savings. But it's start with the one that's easiest to pay off the fastest. Get those accounts paid off. If you've got a 6-year loan, try to pay it off in 4. The faster you pay it off, and that also helps your credit score.
Oh, great information. Let's transition a little bit, because a lot of times when we file taxes, certain exemptions we miss out on, because we don't know. We just do our house, our job, but we leave off a lot of good write-offs. So what write-off tips would you like to share with the brothers and sisters of Black Men Sunday?
First of all, when you get that tax return, that's your money. It's not free money or bonus money. That's the money that when you work, you're given to the government. And if you overpay, of course, they give it back. What you want to do is try to get down to a 0 tax rate where you don't pay anything, you don't get anything back, and you retain your money. One of the things I've always done is I've always had a side hustle, an extra job that I do in my home, which makes my home a tax write-off. I can write off a portion of my mortgage, a portion of my lights, my cell phone. If you do something that you have to bring people into your home, then you can write off your landscaping, the bill for the water where because if your home is what you're using to attract clients, whatever you do for the home, if you have a cleaner, a person that comes in and cleans, that can be written off too, because you're using that for the purpose of making your home presentable to your clients as they come in. When I was, like I said, I always had a side hustle. I've done my artwork because I have an art degree, where I did portraits, the bodybuilding, where I had my workout equipment in the home. I've done the Mary Kay when I was a beauty consultant. And I always tell people, like when I was doing the beauty consultant, I actually wrote me off. My hair, my nails, my shoes, my clothes, because I was a walking advertisement for what I was doing. I'm selling beauty and skincare. So when someone sees me and they say, "Oh, I love your shoes," my shoes actually attracted them to me. And then I can present with the product that I'm selling. I have a certified accountant And he actually thought that's just because he tried to say, no, no, you can't. And when I told him that very day, as I'm walking through the mall, a woman comes up, she said, oh, I love your shoes. And then I started to talk to her about my product. And it's like, you know what, you're right. And I could write off my shoes, my nails, my hair, the cleaning lady, the guy who cuts the yard, all of that. And his fee, I wrote write off his fee, my accountant's fee also.
Oh wow, that's great information. I didn't know you could write the lawn, man. I'm missing money out. I've been paying that guy for a good 5, 6 years, at least 100 every month. So we can write that off too. Okay.
If you're attracting people to your home, you absolutely can.
Definitely. And let's transition a little bit. We talk about generational wealth. You know, a big deal nowadays, I'm seeing a lot of brothers and sisters really buying property, buying land. I'm seeing celebrities giving their children or family members money and buying them properties as well. So let's talk about that. Because I mean, you're from a family where you guys inherited some land as well. Am I correct?
Kind of a horror story. Um, because when my parents, they grew up when it was segregated and all that. But my both of my parents come from very large families, and unfortunately, they did have a lot of land. But because their parents put everyone's name on the land, it became a nightmare. And what I would advise if someone's using real estate or property to pass down, decide who gets what, because that can create a huge nightmare in a family. They can argue, it causes fights. The property may get lost because of taxes and that sort of thing. It's because once, we're all family, love each other, but money can cause lots of headaches, especially if you don't decide who gets what exactly. If you put everybody's name and expect everybody to do kumbaya, once that person's dead, that chances are not going to happen. It's unique. If it does happen, that's great. But I would advise people to decide, first of all, get a will and decide who gets what. So there's no argument. And like I said, my parents, they have some property, but they've done exactly that. They put everybody's name on it. So not a good idea.
Great information. No, because, we talk to a lot of brothers and sisters that, are creating generational wealth, but we don't think of that. We're thinking of, okay, we're stacking the money up, we're buying the properties, we're doing A, B, and C from all the professionals that we hire that tell us to do it, but we're not thinking about the conflicts that can happen. So what would you say though, if, a brother has 4 kids and he wants to pass down his property, like what advice would you give? Like how should he divvy his properties amongst his children?
Well, I mean, if you have multiple properties, then you give each child a share. If you have, say, one property, my son is lucky; he's the only child, so he's going to get everything. He doesn't have to worry about splitting anything. But if you've got to have an executor, and you want to pick the person who you know will be the fairest. Write your instructions down, exactly what you want to do and who you want to have what. If you want the property sold and divided up among the children, do that. If you want the home to remain there, if you want to have it passed down from generation to generation, you have to develop a trust where those instructions are written out and very plain and clear. And you may have some legal challenges about that, but you at least you write down what you want to happen rather than hoping that everyone will behave properly, because that it doesn't always end up that way.
No, great information. I appreciate the truthfulness from you. Let's talk a little bit as well, because a lot of brothers and sisters have these great ideas. They invent products, but they don't get patents. So let's talk about the importance. Why should we get our, whatever we invent? Why should we get a patent for it? Because, a lot of people say, it's going to take a lot of time. It's a lot of online PDFs. I don't really understand half of it. You know what? Forget it. I'm just going to put my stuff out there and I'm just going to get money. But what's the importance of patents?
It's very important to get a patent if you come up with an idea, because then you have a guarantee that the idea that you have is yours. And if someone tries to impede on that idea, then they are legally responsible for impeding on your patent. I've just been granted a patent for an idea that I came up with, And I had this idea for some time, but as you say, when they say you can do it online, yes. And I have had a relative who did attempt to do that, but it's very detailed. I would say to a person that if you have an idea and you think that idea is a fresh new idea, invest in an attorney, a patent attorney. It's not going to really, if you're going to save more money by doing that versus the money you would lose if you do it wrong, you put in, because you have to pay, to get it even looked at. And if it's wrong or you miss a step, then you're going to have to start over. They're going to reject it. You're going to have to start over. It would be smarter to get a patent attorney. And for my patent, from start to finish, I think it's 3 years. It was 2.5 years before I was granted the patent. And I paid less than $2,500 to get the application, to file the fees, to do all of that to get my patent. So you're gonna save money in the long run by doing it the right way with an attorney versus trying to do it yourself and getting a headache and the stress and maybe getting it wrong and having it rejected because you missed something.
I want to talk about retirement a little bit because, as I said in the intro, you're an Orlando police officer from the Orlando Police Department. That's Orlando, Florida, for the brothers that's not in Florida. For 30 years, you're retired. I'm saying now they're saying the retired age is going to go from 65 to 70. So for my mom is 65 now. She's going to kill me for saying this on the show, but my mom is 65 and she's about to retire. Mm-hmm. But she's kind of starting to feel like, okay, I wonder, do I have enough money to retire? So I kind of want to go to the beginning of retirement for the people that are, transitioning in the job market. They're not quite retirement age yet, but when you're looking at a job that employs you, you have to employ the job as well. When you're looking for a job, what should you look for outside of the salary to make sure that you're setting yourself up for a good retirement?
Well, when I became a police detective, I ended my career as a detective with the police department. And when I started it was doing Reaganomics, right? And when they just had affirmative action. So they were looking for women, they were looking for minorities to come into the police department. I started in 1980. That's when they were still calling you the N-word to your face and having no problems with it. So I was when very few women were in law enforcement. And it's about the benefits, the retirement package, the sick leave and everything. And when I started in 1980, like I said, I was one of 3 Black women under the police department. And I left for a while, but then came back. And then I came back in 1989. And the police department, and what I'm told is a lot of people don't have pensions, in the industry much anymore. So I was lucky enough to get in when there's a pension, and what most police departments do have some sort of pension. And we had to invest in that pension, but we also had, it was called deferred comp, when they allowed you to set aside, kind of like the 401k, you put funds in there also. But you have to look at the benefits and the big picture of being a part of an organization, regardless of what industry it's in. At the police department, I was lucky enough to be able to retire at 55. I would get 70, 80% of my salary. So when I did retire, I was, relatively young. I'll be 60. I'm 69. I'll be 70 next year. So when I have my pension, but I also have, the acting, but I also have the Social Security. A lot of people will, when they're talking about retiring at 72, that's what they want you to retire. If you don't have to wait that long. I started collecting my pension when I was like 63. Started taking those funds, because that's my money, and putting them in an account, in an investment account. So why let the government keep my money and invest it? Give it to me and I'll invest it for myself. So it's my money, I take it. And what most people have the misconception is that those funds don't increase. Well, they do, because every year they send you out this form that tells you how much you will get the longer you wait. You're going to get those funds anyway, but they will be, you will get them. There will be an increase until you top out at that amount. Say if you're going to get, let's say you get $5,000 a month. You start out getting $1,800 a month. It's going to graduate until it gets to 5,000. And that may be when you're 67, I think it is right now, when it tops out. but I started collecting mine at 63 and started taking those funds and putting them in an investment account and letting that grow. I've been retired for about, what is 10, 12 years now. And I take a part of my pension and I put it aside, like I said, pay myself first. So even though you may be in an industry that may not have a pension, you have to think about the big picture of what you want your life to look like once you retire. I decided back when I was in my 30s, 20s, and 30s that I wanted to be able to relax, do what I want, when I want, if I want. I didn't want to have to work because I had to. If I wanted to work, it because I want to. And that's, what I do is acting and those sorts of things, where my retirement money goes into my fund. Of course, it takes care of my bills and all of that. But I've always said I'm like a little chipmunk. I take a pile here and a pile here and a pile here and a pile there. So I have multiple sources of income, multiple sources of savings. So if something stops over on the left, I have my safety net on the right. You always have multiple avenues of income, which is the smartest way to retire and make sure you don't outlive your income.
Yes, it's interesting you say that because, I'm a news photojournalist, and a lot of times we'll go to a lot of people's homes. A lot of sisters and brothers are retired, and, they'll have their kids, their grandkids, and their kids and grandkids living in the house. And they'll tell us, listen, with the way the property insurance is going up, and with my kids living with me, I'm going to have to go back to work. So that's where I want to transition into. You kind of jumped it a little bit when you talked about the acting, because the thing that I liked about it is, I wanted to ask you though, what's the importance of acting? Specifically, I want to start with like commercial acting.
Well, you can't kind of through me when you said the person with the grandkids and the kids living in
Yeah.
going back to work. I'm like, why are you going back to work?
Ooh.
You shouldn't have to go back to work if you have all these adults in your house, but unless you just want to. But with the acting, I started acting because I'm very creative. I have this was something to just feed my creative side and my creative juices, because like I told you, I have a degree in art. I started taking an acting class with True for Acting Studios, and I really enjoyed it. That the benefit behind getting work in acting is you get residual income from that. You get anytime a commercial or a television show that's SAG, the Screen Actors Guild Union, you get funds from that. I'm not a member of the union, but I still get the residuals from the movies that I've done that are the commercials that I've done that are SAG projects. So that it's fun and it's something I can do forever. I don't have to ever stop being an actor if I choose not to. So residual income, fun, and it get my creative juices going.
Definitely. Now I want to go to the back end of the retirement question. I asked you the front end. I want to go to the back end. Like I said, my mom's retiring this year. She's always wanted to do commercials. She's always wanted to be an actress. But I remember one time I put the camera in her face and she froze up. I'm like, you sure you ready for this life? Because this only one camera. I didn't even have any lights going on. But what's the importance of acting? Like for, sisters and brothers that are gearing toward retirement, they're still looking good like yourself. How can a commercial, because you said residual income, so is it like every time that commercial airs on TV that a check comes?
Well, yes. Yeah, like I did David Makes Man back in 2021. Yeah, it was right when it was, I think it was 2021, February 2021, and I had one line. But David Makes Man is a Screen Actors Guild endorsed project. So every time someone plays the episode I was in, whether it pays in the United States or in Europe, I get a check. It comes like once a quarter. And like I said, I only had one line in that show, but I still get paid every time it airs. So if a person wants to get into acting, the first thing I would advise them to do is to take a class. Because even though with commercial work, a lot of the time you're not speaking. You do need to know how to act professionally when you get in that environment, because if you don't, you'll get a bad name and nobody will ever hire you again. So you want to know how to act and what to do and what to, as far as, like you said, the cameras, because when you're in acting, you don't pay attention to the camera. The camera is just like another set of eyes that are there, and you act naturally, but you're being recorded. I would tell people the first thing, if you're even interested in it, take a class, and a class on commercial work. And it teaches you how to behave, what to expect, what not to do. And it can be very fun because, you spend a lot of time waiting when you're in front of the camera, but you're getting paid to wait. So
Yeah, because in my business, they say hurry up and wait. But I like to hurry up and wait because that means that check comes. But, definitely. All right. So definitely. So let's transition one more time. So you're the Ways and Means Chair of the Democratic Women's Club of West Orange County. How did you get involved with that? And tell us about this organization.
Well, the Democratic Women's Club of West Orange County is a group of ladies that actually formed in 2016. And it was initially just women who were upset about the results of the election. And we just wanted someone of like minds to get together. And, we needed something to release our pent up energy with. And what we do is we help get other Democrats elected. We do the phone banking and go to door to door, leaving the pamphlets, that sort of thing. But like I said, I joined it in 2016, 2017, somewhere in there. And I was asked, because I have, the creative juices and stuff, I would be asked to do the designs and decorating for the Christmas parties and that sort of thing, social gatherings. So they asked me if I would do the Ways and Means and come up with an idea to help raise funds. And I came up with this idea for this year for the Democracy Unleashed competition, which is, we're scheduling it to be in October of this year. And thank you for being our host, MC, agreed to be our MC. But the group is trying to raise funds. And at this time in our country, we're so divided. I came up with the idea that we have a local talent to compete for prize money and talk about what they feel about democracy. So it's a nonpartisan, non-political event that we want to bring people together to talk about how they feel about democracy. What does it mean to you? What does this country mean to you? What would it mean if you lost it? So that's when I was asked to do the job and asked to come up with an idea. I wanted to come out with something that's outside the box and something that could actually bring people together rather than tear people apart and have oppositions, but bring us together on something that means a lot to all of us. And that's our country and democracy, and what it would mean to lose it and what it would mean to build upon it.
Definitely great information. And what type of event, like what type of talent? Is this acting? Is it singing? Like what type of talent are we talking about here?
Well, we're looking for rappers, original songwriters, singers, and spoken word. It's not so much, you can do acting because when you're singing, you're basically performing for an audience. So we wanted people who were creative to come up with your own ideas. And like I said, the singing, rapping, and spoken word.
And the event's in October. What's the date again?
The event is October 21st. It's going to be at the Rollins College Bush Auditorium. If you were interested in it, you can just Google Democracy Unleashed competition. It takes you right to the website. It's free to enter. And as I said, there are cash prizes. And the grand prize will be a professional instructions for a semester at True for Acting Studios.
Wow, that's awesome. That is awesome. And I can't wait to MC that event. And I thank you for the privilege.
Well, thank you for agreeing to do it.
Definitely, definitely. And before I let you go, because I know my listeners are like, I kind of want another tip because she's such a great speaker. So I want to talk about property for a minute.
Okay.
The rates are really high. I remember a couple weeks ago, I tried to take a HELOC out, home equity line of credit on my house.
Oh.
So it kind of was cool, but then they said, now keep in mind now, you may have to do a refinance, but you're gonna might have to pay 7% on what you take out. I'm like, but I didn't pay no 7% when I bought the house. So
Mhm.
my question for you is for people that are first time home buyers, especially in a market nowadays where the rates, I think the rate's like 8.5 now. I'm seeing
Mhm.
homes, I'm seeing 21, 2,200 square foot homes selling for 610,000 with the 8.5%. I'm like, wow. But that's reality now.
Yeah.
So let's talk about brothers and sisters that are buying their first property. What type, should they do FHA? Should they do conventional? I'm hearing a lot of brothers and sisters are doing the balloon where, you get the lower, you get the low now,
Do
but then
not.
it's a variable all the way through it. So what are your thoughts on that?
I the one thing I would tell someone, do not do a balloon, because that you're basically just giving your money away. You're giving your equity away. Because I, unfortunately, the very first home I purchased, I think I was like 28, 29. Didn't know anything. As I said, the internet wasn't a thing. YouTube wasn't a thing. I would tell people, look, research, do your research, because when I got my first home, believe it or not, the interest rate was 12.45%. Yes, 1985. And not knowing much about real estate, not having the resources to look it up, when the realtor said, "Oh, don't worry, we'll get you in at 7%." So I'm thinking, okay, that sounds good. What I didn't realize, and he said, "Well, we just do the balloon," and not me not knowing, okay, you can get you in at 7. And, oh, we'll just put that at the back of the loan. And I'm thinking, okay, okay. And then you'll graduate within 5 years. You'll be back where you started at the 12%. But what I didn't realize is that money that's going to the back of the loan, that's being accrued, where the interest is accrued daily. So I ended up, after living in the home for 11 years, with zero equity in the home. All of that equity was at the back of the loan, because the interest rate that I hadn't been paying for all those years was being put at the end. So when 11 years later, I actually wind up owing more for the home than I originally purchased it for, and not having a bit of equity. So I actually, and long story short, I ended up having to pay $3,000 just to sell the home. So I got nothing out of all of that time of owning a home. Yes, I got the tax benefits, but it was basically like I was paying rent. So I would tell anyone who was considering getting a loan, do not stay away from the balloon loans, because you're just giving away money. You're losing money being in that type of a loan. Because when I first purchased my home, I purchased it around 5%. And when the interest dropped to around 3, I refinanced it at a low interest rate. And then I decreased the amount of time that I'm going to pay for the home. When I refinanced it, I didn't, a lot of people refinance and get money out. I refinanced for the purpose of quickly paying off my loan. And now that it's 3.25% locked in, I am going to expedite paying this home off. And within 4 years, I should have my home paid completely, free and clear. And of course, my son will wind up owning the home.
How important is it because a lot of our listeners are entrepreneurs, or if they're not an entrepreneur, they're someone with money trying to do some investing. But how important is online businesses these days?
The brick and mortar, that's obsolete, basically. You can go to any mall and see that you do not have. You remember the days when people would go to the mall just to hang out, and if you're there, you might see something you purchased. It's just with Amazon taking shape and things can be delivered to the home. A brick and mortar business is just obsolete. One of the advantages of having an online business is you can have a tax deduction. It creates a tax deduction in your home. It creates a tax deduction for your internet. You can write off a portion of that. You can write off any kind of office supplies, anything that you have to do to get that business up and running. One of the things that's most challenging about having an online business, it's great because of the tax write-off and the money that it can bring in. But the biggest challenge to having an online business is getting the word out, advertising. And sometimes you have to do that by attending festivals or, just going out and going to different events and letting people know that you exist. So the convenience of having an online business is great because, like I said, you get the money, your business is open 24/7. But the disadvantage to that is that you have to get the word out because no one's just going to know you exist by Googling. You have to let people know that you have the business and where to find your business. And the easier it is to find that online business, the more successful you'll be.
And a lot of people, when they think of online business as far as advertising, they look at, their Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, the Twitters, or is that what you're doing as well?
Well, I do that, yes, but I've found that the best way to advertise is to get out and let people know, word of mouth, let people know that you exist. Because people will see TikTok and they'll see the videos and they'll scroll by. And of course, if they're not interested, they just pass right by it. But when you're face to face, you can give someone an advertisement and they'll go, "Oh, I have a friend that can use this." And I have actually found that word of mouth, person to person advertising actually works the best. So you have to, if you're afraid of people, it's not going to be, you have to learn how to be a personable person, and just because people will go and will purchase from you if they like you. They may not need your product, but because they like you, then they'll tell their friend, "Hey, I met this lady and she's selling this. And I remember you had," because I'm selling the dog harness. That's one of the things that I have patented is a dog harness for dogs that may be incontinent. And I have had people take my business card to give it to other people. And you don't have that happen with online a lot. Sometimes it does, but not a lot. But it more than likely, if I meet a person in person and inform them about my business, they pass that information on.
Definitely. And my final question, sister, did you enjoy your time on Black Men Sundays?
Yes, I did. I'm very honored that you actually asked me to participate. So.
Oh, definitely. And, we celebrate this August. August is Black Business Month. But whenever we have a sister or a woman on our show, they always say, it's called Black Men Sundays. So I didn't think you would want us on the show. So because I hear that so often, the guest I had last week said the same thing. So I said, you know what? I'm going to turn Black Business Month for Black Men Sundays into Sisters Month. We're going to have all 4 sisters because we do it every Sunday, Black Men Sundays. And I appreciate you coming on the show, Audrey Harris White. Thanks for coming on Black Men Sundays. Like I said, this sister, 30-year retired OPD officer. She draws and paints and is a retired bodybuilder. Was ranked 5th in the world, and she's still looking good. What? You see those guns? So thanks for coming on Black Men Sundays. I appreciate you. Thanks for allowing me to MC the event. We definitely going to have a good time and enjoy your work week, sister.
Thank you so much. And we have everyone Google Democracy Unleashed 2023.
It's a Black Man Sunday. Time to put all childish things away. I refuse to be the man I was yesterday. Gotta put my best foot forward and elevate. It's a Black Man Sunday. Time to put all childish things away. I refuse to be the man I was yesterday. Gotta put my best foot forward and elevate. It's a Black Man Sunday.